Recording.
I like how you push the envelope just a little bit. See how far you can go.
Yeah.
I like how you used
Welcome
the
to the
line
Grappling with
for
Podcast.
the fourth
Dr. Chris
button
Hardy and
not
William
the
Walker
third
will take a
for
deep
that
dive into
camera.
topics
Thank you.
covering wellness and prevention, performance, recovery, and injury management. Our mission is to provide the latest science-based information to help you get the most out of your grappling journey, both on and off the mats, and help you overcome any challenges you may be grappling with. Dr. Hardy is a licensed physician and BJJ practitioner, but the contents of the podcast are meant for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice.
You have to add it to
Please
yours.
seek out personalized care from your own
Then
medical
don't.
provider prior to implementing any
No.
medical treatment or intervention.
Bill is a licensed buffoon.
Professor.
He says things that are a little
Professor Bill.
squirrely. Do not hold these things against his
I'll just call
gym
you that.
mates, his family, Chris Hardy, Harry Hardy, or anybody at his gym.
Hey,
How's it going? Bill, Olivia, what's going on?
lovely.
I'm ready to take a nap.
She just woke up from a nap. And she's ready for round 2.
All right.
When was the last time? Because I remember you've done this a couple times where you corrected people when they didn't call you Professor Chris.
I never do that.
When was the last time you did that?
Never.
No, I've seen it a couple times.
Nope. You would be making shit up.
I was like, I don't think he's
Because
ever
I
done
am
that.
not. Matter of fact, the only ways I correct people if they call me that, I'm like, no, just Chris. That's like the whole doctor thing. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Bill loves being called professor.
Well, I can
Oh
tell.
my gosh. Don't turn this on me.
You tried to make up some shit about me. Good job, Olivia.
Whose team are you on?
Chris's
Okay.
today.
That was right down the line.
That was clean.
Yeah, it
That
was.
a clean cut right to my gut.
Well, good try.
Thank you.
Good try.
What's going on, dude?
I just had coming off of 3 days in a row, which is a record for me of training.
That's true.
I've never done that before.
What's your dildo say? Or
my wearable?
yeah. Sorry.
Nothing. I don't even have it on because it would go negative. It'd be like, why are you asking?
So does that mean you're not training tonight?
I am training tonight
Look at you.
because I had a day off.
You are an animal.
I had Sunday off.
You look a little more yoked right now. Like I can see 3 days in a row in your body. I'm in your body.
Well, my body has like the white flags raising. It's like,
Can you
please
feel it?
stop.
gonna
Actually,
say, have to
yesterday on Sunday, going back to the grip strength thing, that's the most telltale sign for me.
Yeah.
For me anyway. And I was like, oh, I feel like a kitten.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday,
Yeah. And I feel a lot stronger today with the grip.
because you did a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I did.
sesh. And
Yeah.
usually it's Thursday, Saturday.
And they were all pretty rough
yeah.
for me anyway.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Friday was rough. Mm-hmm. Friday was rough.
You got Shark Tanked pretty good.
Yeah.
In the old Friday night advanced class.
That was so much fun though.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, we all got Shark Tanked.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I feel like you got it a little worse than everyone else.
Well, it's kind of like if you throw a wounded seal in the water and
Right.
there's a bunch of great whites around. Yeah.
Well, I think so. There's that element. It just like I feel like I got it pretty good too because
You talk shit.
yes,
Yeah.
So there was more teamwork when you guys went after me than anybody else.
What was funny, so those of you that it wasn't a traditional Shark Tank, it was a little different, where we were divided into groups of 6 and we all had a number 1 through 6. And our group happened to be like almost all black belts.
Right.
With a purple belt, maybe in a
in a very tough blue belt.
Yeah. But 1 and 2 would start sparring. Mm-hmm. And then when the instructor says switch, it could be random, whenever. 2 jumps out real quick, and number 3 is already attacking number 1.
So
When you
for example, if if the person on bottom that's getting Shark Tanked, quote unquote, if they're in a Kimura trap, and they call switch, the person coming in doesn't have to wait for them to get up.
Nope.
They can start reefing on your ankle.
Attacking their neck, jumping on your back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jump on your other arm.
Okay, but I will say that I feel like you guys did cheat a little because when Bill told me that you guys were holding positions for the next person,
Just
I
a
was
couple
like,
seconds.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it works.
Yeah. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah. Well, on that. So when it was my turn to be down, I think my first person was Andrew. And no, he was my second. And he perfectly timed when he jumped on me because my weakest position, he subs me every time we roll with darn near the same thing. And that's he passes my guard, and then he's in side control, and then he arm bars me. It's almost like death and taxes. It's going to happen. And he started in side control. Because whoever was on me first.
Yeah. They had you locked up and he just jumped right into it.
Boom. He's like north, south, side control, something like that. And I decided, I made a conscious effort that I'm going to just do the Home Alone. Where I put my hands on my cheeks, my elbows tight, and I'm not moving. I just balled up and he could jab me in the eyeball and I'd just take it. Well, he caught on to that pretty quick. And he decided to start trapping one of my arms with my own lapel. So now he's got me in like a handcuff.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah. And he knew his time was getting close to being done. So he abandoned trying to sub me and just wanted to set me up for the next guy to come in, which was Justin. And so what he started doing as he controlled my left arm with a lapel, it's now completely tied up. He starts coaching Justin, said, okay, come over here, get ready. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to Kimura this arm right here that's free, which he has his chest on. And he's telling him how to grip it and everything.
Before the switch was called.
Then they call switch.
Yep.
After he just gave this guy a seminar on what he's going to do to me. And then they call switch, and he doesn't let go. Like, he doesn't back off. He waits for Justin to get his two hands on me. And then starts going for a Kimura. Which then he's now sitting on my head with a Kimura trap. I don't know what I start doing. I start doing an escape that I'm teaching actually right now in the day class. Well, Justin's privy to that because he goes to the day class.
Oh, too bad for you.
And he throws me in an inverted triangle.
Yep.
While Kimura trapping. Like, he's hitting me from all sides.
Yep.
I'm just trying to survive.
Yep.
So you can imagine my right arm is being Kimura'd. My left arm is stuck above my head, and I'm in a triangle. Fortunately, I don't get tapped in that moment.
Yeah, but then switch.
I'm in such a precarious spot that they call switch, and then the Polish prince tries to ankle lock me right out the gate.
Okay, your feet are dangling.
They're dangling.
He's belly down and not belly down.
My feet are in the water.
I know.
And Jaws comes up and he just grabs the ankle and sits right back.
It was so much fun.
Holy smokes.
Well, you know what was good about that? It made you react to a lot of bad positions.
Yeah.
Because when I was in there, Andrew got me in a real quick arm bar on my bad shoulder, which I tapped very quickly to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his arm bars are so good. It doesn't matter if my shoulder's bad or not. But then I got all fired up and, I'm like, I'm going to get under and sweep. And I forgot, like, dude, that's probably not the best idea. Because then I come up on top and they call switch, and all of a sudden I have someone jumping on my back. And then choke me very quickly.
Yeah.
Sunk in a rear naked choke. And my arms are all tied up trying to submit somebody. It was funny. I think that's a really good drill.
Yeah, it was. There was a fun element.
Yep.
Competitive element. But it's one of those things where you're going to be put in a position that maybe you wouldn't like.
Right.
If especially if you're with lower belts than you, then you never let them pass your guard or something like that. Well, now one of them's on your ankle. Yeah. And you didn't let him there, but he's there and he's ripping. Which shout out to Mac because they were asking was that pretty tight? Because it looked pretty tight. Yeah. And I was like, there was one moment that it had some real bite to it, but something wasn't quite right on it. But the next day, my Achilles hurt for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I was gonna text him and be like, just to let you know, my foot does hurt.
He's sharp, man. He's got some skills.
So shout out to Mac.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was the second day of my training.
Right.
And then, we had another Saturday class, which is always a good, hard rolls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this really tested my recovery.
Yeah. Did you watch Who's Number One?
Yeah. No. I went back and watched.
Okay, some of the matches.
Some of the matches, yeah. I didn't watch all of them. I watched some ones that I was interested in watching.
Which ones do you watch?
So I watched the Marigali Pedro. I watched the Jacob Couch and Isaac. I watched. Is it Francisco Lowe and Tackett? I watched that one. And I watched Davis, what's that new wave guy?
It's like a size or something.
No, it's
Asiago.
Asare or something like that. Sorry if I butchered your name.
Shout out to Davis for watching. Because I know you are.
Oh, okay. I'm like, it's probably Nikita. But I watched that one. He's very impressive.
Yeah. It's quite good.
Yeah, he's very explosive and very
and his
going
opponent
for the legs.
I don't know if you saw or heard, his opponent is like a world level.
Oh, the wrestler. Yeah.
That's Lovato's wrestling coach.
Well, and speaking of that, I watched the Lovato and Elder Cruz one.
Yeah.
Those were the ones I watched.
Okay.
Did that end up being boring?
What? No.
Elder Cruz.
It was actually quite good.
It was excellent. Lovato ended up choking him.
I feel disrespectful for
suggesting
it might be.
Well, what was really interesting is whatever the wrestling coaching was paying dividends because he stuffed a bunch of takedowns.
And I would say he
some singles
got
too.
To the point where Lovato is maybe, I don't know if I'd say winning the stand-up, but he was not losing the stand-up.
Then he pulled guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I because that was a question that the announcers had was, why would Lovato pull guard? It looked like he was actually starting to really get a groove and maybe even take the tempo. I think it's because the scoring of Who's Number One, you can't win a Who's Number One match on the feet.
Well, and also, if you noticed after he did that, he did a couple wrestle ups too. So he tried an ankle pick, and so I think that was part of his game too, not just traditional guard, but I think he's working on the wrestle ups too.
Yeah, and it's kind of Gordon's thing is, I'm not going to submit you on the feet. So how can I get you to do jiu-jitsu faster? So he pulls guard.
I thought it was a good card from what I watched. I really the Marigali mounted triangle.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he predicted it.
Yeah. Well, he had a gi that had a triangle on it.
Which was his prediction.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, that's why he did it. So he put a big old triangle on his back, and then that was like his way of calling his submission.
He didn't look like it fit too well.
It was a little baggy.
Yeah.
It was a little baggy, and it looked crisp.
Not that maybe it was a new one. Huh?
What do you think of his pants? Were they tight around the butt? Or
I didn't check that out. I just said that the gi top was a little.
Well, I mean, he's talking about his fashion. I just figured he maybe noticed.
No, I just noticed typically those higher level competitors will have a really tailored, a gi, and that looked like it was kind of probably to your point. It was a special one that he had.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the fact that Marigali kind of is channeling Gordon Ryan or kind of trying to be like him?
With
calling certain things or wanting to get paid certain money or kind of like...
being a little more brash.
Yeah, like, do you think he's... I don't know.
Do you like it or dislike it, Liv?
I think... Marigali should be his own person and not try to imitate somebody else. Like it works for Gordon Ryan, and maybe he's trying to kind of like use that as some sort of
marketing tactic.
Yeah, or like an example of like, oh, well, maybe this would work for me too. But I think you should just be your own person and do your own thing instead of trying to like call out things like putting a triangle on your back.
Sure, but unfortunately it works.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I in philosophically, I agree with Olivia. I mean, I think we should all try to kind of be our own person. But I mean, honestly, here's a extreme example. Look at Colby Covington in the UFC. I mean, he was kind of on his way out, and he started.
True.
Not that he's not a really good fighter,
Floyd Mayweather,
but he just started talking mass shit.
Yeah,
and I mean, when you see track records like that, and they're making
right,
it's hard fault a lot of people from trying to stir the pot, I guess.
To help get eyeballs, because we love that.
People love negative news more than positive news.
And like drama and stuff like
Of course.
that.
That's why WWE is a thing.
The thing is, though, Marigali was more brash than Gordon before Gordon.
That's true.
So, like, Marigali was polarizing when he was a brown belt. He's the good-looking dude that would ruffle a lot of feathers. And
so maybe he's just doing him.
I think he's always kind of done it, but he is
trying to do it more strategically.
He's taking pieces from Gordon for sure, with the like predicting the submission beforehand, sending out challenge matches, like put your 10 or 20 grand up to my 20 grand. So he is taking some things, but I don't think it's too out of character for him. I think it's still within that. He actually used to be a lot more like angry and negative and like than he is now. He's much more positive. He used to be much more confrontational previously, like when he was flipping off the Six Blades guys.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Well, it's because someone was jawing at him while he was in the middle of like the finals or semifinals.
Yeah.
But then he just starts flipping off. Then they DQ'd him. And that's the only reason why he didn't get a double gold at
How do you
World.
get a DQ for that?
Unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, IBJJF hates him.
Well, I was going to
That's
say,
my
I
opinion.
feel like there would be some other people who would do that and they wouldn't get DQ'd. Like if Tynan did that, I don't think they'd DQ him.
Probably not. I mean, realistically, probably not. But,
Look at the Elizabeth Clay decision.
Oh, okay. Yes, please bring that up.
Didn't we already talk about that?
Well, no, but we
bit.
heard someone who has a differing opinion about this.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily differing opinion.
No, it is differing because they don't think that they got gringoed.
Okay, but they
think that Elizabeth was wrong.
They think Elizabeth won.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
No, they did not.
If they said
if they were judging
if it was a ref decision, they would have given it to Clay.
But they're saying she was still wrong and that
But
she
we're
still
talking about two
lost
different things.
legitimately.
She thinks that Clay won.
It's irrelevant if they think
she thinks, or they think, that Clay shouldn't have came back on the mat.
But the only reason why they think that was because she was complaining about how humiliating it was, and they were saying that was their choice to go back on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they were saying they shouldn't.
And that because in the rules,
there's nothing saying that once you raise their hand,
then it's final and done.
There's nothing.
Like that's not in the rules.
And in fact, I guess for the last 3 years, they've had video review of all semifinal and final.
Sure,
matches.
but the way it looked wasn't good.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say.
They were saying that too.
Yeah.
They agreed with that part.
That's really my only thing.
Which is why they were like, I wouldn't have even gone out there to like have that humiliation.
Or just be like, no, I'm sorry. I don't, Yeah, that wasn't a good look for the judging on that.
Yeah. And like I said, they feel like because it went to ref decision.
Yeah.
They took away the advantages and all that kind of stuff.
Said they didn't actually get that advantage.
Yeah, and they feel like
it was a problem with the table.
Through ref decision, like they would actually gave it to Clay too as well. So, but their opinion was it wasn't a gringo thing. But
I don't know the motivations behind any of it.
Yeah.
It's just speculation. All I know, it wasn't a good look, and it looked fishy.
It was icky poo-poo.
Yeah.
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 I just thought that was interesting because everyone I've heard was like, had the same consensus of like, okay, that was wrong. And then to hear someone say like, it actually wasn't wrong was just interesting. So.
Okay.
What about the Francisco Low Tackett match? What did you take from that?
So my takeaway in general,
because Tackett was, Lowe's kind of new to the scene.
He is sharp, dude.
He's very good.
Yeah.
He's the one that he kind of got highlight reel because he did a flying triangle on Adam Warzinski and Oliver Taza in Nogi, where he just literally they were sitting guard and he just jumps their guard and triangles them.
I thought it was a pretty enjoyable match. I mean,
good scrambles.
And Tackett is pretty sneaky on a lot of stuff. And
and I knew it was going to be a really good one also because there was a story that Francisco Lowe, he was about to do, I think I think an invite tournament or a super fight, or he had something going on in Texas. So the day before he drops into B team, and this is what those guys were saying, that he decided to do like 30-minute round, just slobber knocker, just a war with Nicky Rod the day before his like tournament.
Why would you do that?
He's a psycho. I guess he's just like, he's down.
Yeah.
He's up for all the smoke.
I mean,
he's much smaller than Nicky Rod.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think he's a middleweight. He was 185.
Yeah. That was a fun match. I liked the scrambles were cool, like you said.
Yeah.
There's some of the back, the way Tackett can get to the back sometimes is pretty amazing to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same with Isaac Michelle. He had a good
Oh
back
yes,
kick
he did. Yeah.
On couch, but. All in all, it was a good event that I think it was nice to see the gi stuff with Marigali. So, and I think, it's what some people are saying. It's like pretty obvious in what we've said. It's about the competitors. You can have gi or no gi. It doesn't matter. Mm-mm. It's all about the competitors. Yeah. Put Hanato Kanuto out there, gi or no gi. He's going to make it exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I kind of like a mixture, honestly.
Yeah, I think that was cool.
Yeah.
Having both.
I like having that.
Yeah, and it was funny because I legitimately thought that Lovato was going to suck the air out of the room. Not in like a disrespectful way, just his style is what it is, and Elder Cruz is what he is. So I thought matchup-wise, it was going to just be this kind of stalematey thing, and it was actually a really good match.
It was excellent.
Yeah, with a good finish, good back take from Lovato. That was awesome. Liv, you had a question about like metabolism or something?
Oh.
So there's no segue at all. You're just going to pepper me with a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had my mind on jiu-jitsu. Now we're going to talk about metabolism.
You ready, Chris?
I'm peppering that booty right now.
Oh, Bill. That's weird.
little
pepper shaker.
You need to even that out a little bit. A little salt on there, too.
No. There's enough salt on that ass.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill.
All right, I'm ready.
Now you're ready?
Yeah, I guess I am now. I'm going to have to be, huh?
Okay. So, does the metabolism really slow down as we age? Because we always hear, and we've heard, or at least I've heard for decades, that as you age, you get into your 30s and your 40s, your metabolism is slowing down, and that's why you're gaining weight.
Okay. So, in general, as we're born, we're all on a slow decline to death. Okay. It doesn't matter what you're, as we get past our optimum reproductive ages, where sperm counts drop, we start having hormonal disruptions like men, lower testosterone, women start approaching menopause and all that. All of our organ systems are aging, and there's a concept called senescence of cells where normally in a young person you'll have replenishing dividing cells. When you get cellular senescence, populations of those cells then no longer are dividing and forming new. Okay, that's just a very basic way of explaining that. Long-term aging is basically multi-organ failure due to it's just the machinery isn't working well anymore. Yeah. So everything involved, whether it's talking about metabolism, a lot of people, when they say that, they're usually saying, well, they could eat a chocolate cake for lunch when they're 20 and now they I can just have a little piece of it and I get fat. A lot of it is, first of all, if you look at your activity levels, most people from young adulthood start approaching into their 40s, your activity levels slow down considerably. A lot of people really aren't getting the regular exercise and maintaining muscle mass. Muscle is a very important part of, muscle is very energetically expensive to maintain. and large amounts of muscle mass you'll have a larger caloric. So to keep that intact, it takes a lot more calories. So having more muscle mass itself, is helpful. Matter of fact, the biggest predictor of disability and all-cause death is frailty and loss of muscle mass. Inability to get up off the floor, inability to start doing your activities of daily living, like squatting down to a toilet, things like that. So when someone says metabolism, yes, it's true that everything starts kind of slowing down a bit, and you have to be, and what I would argue is those of people that successfully age, maintaining, and what that almost always looks at like is maintaining a high level of muscle mass into old age, which is increasingly harder to do. So I think it has more to do with the loss of muscle mass, kind of your sex hormones are starting to drop. Everything isn't working as well, but it's, there's also some lifestyle factors that figure heavily in that, in my opinion. People really aren't paying attention to their diet. They're not getting enough protein to maintain that. And so people that are lean and have large amounts of heavier muscle mass, that it's easy to stay lean. When you don't have that, that muscle mass, it's a lot harder to. Okay.
Is there a couple, like, let's say you had 3 workouts.
Okay.
That you would recommend to someone that's aging to maintain or build muscle, like just from a longevity standpoint? 3 workouts, like, because they're not working out now, but they need to get going.
Yep.
What are 3 that people could start implementing right away that you would recommend?
Well, sorry. So I don't give cookie cutter responses to things. It's a good question, but different people need different things. But in general, whatever that workout program looks like as you're aging, I would bias it towards hypertrophy. In other words, muscle growth.
Okay.
More of like kind of a higher rep, almost to failure type of thing.
Okay.
Where we're physiologically stressing muscle cells too.
You can get into that 15 rep range.
Whatever it is
whatever
to go
it
to.
that.
Yeah. Whatever your weight rep range is, you're getting into more of that where you're feeling it burning and that kind of muscle failure. That, to me, that in walking for someone getting older, I think is the best thing to do.
Right.
This long-term, long-distance, and look, if you like to run, great, but that's not the end-all, be-all. And if you look at longevity, I would argue more hypertrophy-based weight training, which should be the most of your workouts, and kind of a brisk walking thing.
Easier on the joints.
Yep.
Yeah.
And incorporating some type of quote unquote functional movements into your workouts.
Okay.
Right. Squatting, we lose the ability to do that. I mean, all these things getting up off the floor, I'm a big fan of, that's why I like things like Turkish get-ups and things like that.
Yeah.
But as far as
Cossack squats.
Yeah. But, and there's ways to adjust them to everyone's ability and mobility. But really, even something that looks more like a bodybuilder workout as far as muscle failure stuff.
Yeah, you're not going to look like a bodybuilder.
No.
Trust us.
But you need to hit that, what we call that anabolic switch harder.
Right.
The mTOR pathways harder. It's almost like if you have a doorbell and you've had it for years and it's just, you got to hit it harder and harder and harder for it to ring. That's kind of the muscle building, the anabolic response as we age gets harder and harder to hit. That's why really got to jack up the protein levels in your diet and really hit some good resistance training as far as biasing that towards hypertrophy.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say? Because I know there's like generic formulas for how much someone maybe in their 20s and 30s should consume of protein, like grams per body weight.
Yeah.
So how much more is that increased for someone as they get into 45, 50?
Assuming you do not have pre-existing kidney disease, you can even get into the gram per pound of body weight, which is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daily.
At the high end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Per pound of body. Now, then someone say, okay, on the lower end of that would be a gram per amount of lean body mass, right? And that's harder. You can estimate that by
like
percent.
half your body weight? Or?
No, well, God, that'd be horrible if you were a 50%.
I don't know.
No, if your body fat was 50%, that'd be rough.
Oh, I meant like if you're 150 pounds.
No, so that would be like, you could estimate the percent body fat you had, right?
Oh, okay.
And then take that off the top of that. So if you were, let's just say you're 20% body fat,
okay, and
you're 200 pounds.
You're 20, right?
What, 20% body fat?
20, 25?
Thank goodness, no.
Are you sure?
But it's hard to, no.
It's funny because in dudes, 20% would be high, but in women, that would be like
Yeah,
athletic.
and I'm talking about, well, absolutely, women by necessity will have that, just the way they're built. Yeah, but I'm just making some numbers up just to make the math easy. So if you're 200 pounds and they're 20% body fat, that's 40 pounds of non-lean mass. Mm-hmm. So then you'd go back to 160, and that would be your target for protein.
I see.
I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
But that's a lot of protein.
That is a lot.
It is. But, and that's why it's good to get more bioavailable sources. You may have to even supplement. Remember, we're not talking about just what's natural, because what's natural is basically past reproductive age to fall off, and I mean you're really no longer of use to the species, really.
Right.
But to optimize aging, we're talking about doing some stuff that increasing protein past using like whey protein, amino acid supplements.
Not as your main source, but a supplement.
A supplement to try to hit some higher numbers to really kind of force that doorbell to work,
right,
and then couple that with some resistance training. A lot of people think they're getting on the treadmill and that's their 30 minutes of, that's fine, but you have to train with resistance. It doesn't have to be free weights.
Right.
There's a lot of really good high intensity, even bands that work great.
Super low impact on.
That's right. And and you can hit multiple angles. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with them, but that should be the cornerstone. And then, just doing some brisk walking or some hikes.
Sure.
Is perfect for longevity. Now, I'm not talking performance now. I'm talking longevity.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as protein sources go, because I see this all the time, and I think this might be good to clear up. Does collagen or bone broth count towards your protein total that you take in every day?
Yeah, because
even though they're not complete proteins, right? Are they?
No,
they're
but
different.
Yeah, they are different. But if you look at the way human beings ate, kind of nose to tail, on we're omnivores, and when we eat meat, we eat bone marrow, we eat organs. It's not just all muscle meat, right? And a significant portion of our diet was that collagen, and it's really important for us too to have those building blocks for collagen. Collagen is a really interesting type of structure. It has this triple helix type of amino acid chains, and they have very specific compounds like proline and things like that at higher amounts, different types of amino acids that give it its structure. So it's not complete, but I would argue that it's really important as part of your daily, especially as you age, because, sagging skin, that whole 9 yards, connective tissue weakness, that's all collagen kind of degrading. Yeah.
And then maybe you touched on this, and maybe I just in there, but so why is it that it gets harder to develop muscle as we get older? So
it's harder to trigger the anabolic pathways because from you got to look at what the human organism is in its basic form as a reproduction machine. You're trying to pass your genetics to the next generation. what you do after that time period is irrelevant in the big scheme of things as a species. Okay. So when you're hitting 40s, and you're kind of past prime reproductive age, muscle becomes an expensive tissue. Right. Mm-hmm. And, it's not up on the hierarchy to kind of keep. We're trying to keep a quality life into our old age, because as we've developed into modern society, we have a lot more than just reproduction of the species. People are very productive and contributing to society well into their old ages, right?
Right, into their 50s.
Wait, so
intellectually into their 50s. That's pretty good.
Wait, so are you saying that if we didn't do that, our body would basically just waste away and we'd die by like 60, because we'd be like, well, biologically we're not needed anymore?
No, but look what happens though too.
Oh yeah,
look how many
the frailty and the.
I mean, most people, and I hate to say this, most people my age right now, if I took 100 people off the street at 53 years old, it's not pretty.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of them are barely getting around or having, and it shouldn't be like that, right? And a lot of these degenerative joints have to do with a lack of muscle mass and strength and balance supporting that joint. Knees go out quick because poor quad strength, a poor hamstring strength, or just the muscle mass around there is wasting. And so basically you have these joints that are trying to, have all kinds of shear forces on them because they're not stabilized well by the surrounding musculature. So that frailty thing is a big deal. And if you're not trying to hit that mTOR pathway really hard, purposely, you're going to start, you become, those people that don't become obese are skinny fat, where they may look thin, but if you look at the cross section of their muscle, instead of this big muscular tissue, it's infiltrated with fat. So their muscle is being slowly replaced.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Looks like that Wagyu beef.
Well, very much. Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I've seen those scan images before. It's
the
it's
cross
a
section.
log,
That's right.
and like people who work out, it's like mainly all muscle.
Yep.
And but then the ones who don't, it's like this little bit, and then the rest.
And the rest of the surrounding is fat, and that's exactly right. And that causes huge metabolic problems as well too, and is inflammatory, which drives a lot of our degenerative diseases, almost all of it.
Wow.
Yep. Alzheimer's, the whole 9 yards. So maintaining muscle mass and this, getting good exercise in there is so protective of so many different things. Anyway.
Interesting. Want another curveball?
Why not?
Back to jiu-jitsu.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay, Bill.
Or unless you got more?
No. I just think it's funny that you switched it on him like that.
Yeah.
No, that's all good.
Well, I'm trying to keep his cognitive abilities going.
You see what he's doing a public service for me.
Yeah, he's
I
so
am.
nice. He's
Just like-
generous.
I am.
I appreciate that.
Carrie paid me to do this.
Did she?
Yeah. She's like, I noticed he's going.
He's getting a little slow. He didn't know where he was the other day.
Yeah. It was because he worked out 3 days in a row. What would you say improved your BJJ the most? Like one thing throughout your journey so far, your 8 years now.
Just at all levels.
Yeah, just in general. The one thing that you would put up there, if you have a tie, like there's two things, but that's fine. But something significant that helped you improve your jiu-jitsu.
Making myself work things that I was not good at naturally.
Explain.
For instance, even at 45 years old as a white belt, I was relatively still fairly athletic. I mean,
You were rock climbing, mountain biking,
surfing,
you did all this stuff.
Yeah. And so naturally, I was like just trying to play, I'm going to stay on top and try to play a top game and at the detriment of a guard. Or it could be anything, but for me, that's why when I did it formally at blue belt, but I started thinking about it kind of at like 3 or 4 stripe white belt. I'm like, all right, enough of this. but it's a hit to the ego because you're basically putting yourself in position to get smashed over and over and over to work on something you need to work on.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do because we all like doing stuff we're good at. Mm-hmm. We all like playing our A game, right? Especially when we're challenged.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think one of the best things I did was really stop not trying to muscle out of things at all. And really trying to make rules for myself. Like I won't play top game unless I sweep to top game.
Gotcha.
Okay. And I did that for sure at a blue belt for almost the entire belt.
Yeah.
When I spar, I would, unless I was going against like a black belt or something like that, but who had already pulled guard or something. Yeah. But in general, if I had a chance to pull into guard, that's what I would do. And I think that mentality, like right now, I'm working on some stuff that's brand new to me. A type of a half guard I'd never played before, and I'm getting the wrong end of a lot of things right now, even with lower belts.
Yeah,
but whatever, because I'm gonna get better because of it.
Right,
and then I'm gonna be able to, that same thing we've talked about many times. I think being able to put that ego aside, which is harder than, we all say, oh yeah, we need to leave the ego at the door, but let's be honest, it's hard to do.
Yeah. And some ego is good. Like you need to have
I'm not saying it's not,
right.
But in general, for your development, because you're learning this martial art, we're not in here like, it's not a contest, a personal contest. If you're really trying to learn the martial art, you need to identify and be honest with yourself. What is a weakness that you have?
Right. What
position do you hate to be in? You need to embrace that position and get in it as often as you can.
Right.
That's, I think, in general, that concept.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Especially the tough part can be identifying like what that thing is.
Well, you kind of know if you're, if you're constantly getting submitted in this one position, or you find yourself in a position where you don't feel like you have an answer.
Put yourself there.
Put yourself there.
Don't just get there when someone forces you.
No, and then ask someone like, hey, look, I'm in this position all the time. Ask an upper belt, or even someone that is a specialist in certain,
Yes, the person that keeps catching you.
Yeah.
Like, dude, how can I stop you?
Yeah.
And okay, they might not have a great answer, but if they try to keep an answer from you, that's shitty. But most likely they're not going to do that.
But then keep doing that throughout your journey.
Yeah.
What are you having right now? What are you having the most problems with? Because it might change, right? And then start to embrace that. Yeah. Embrace that grind through that. And it's even harder. I think the higher up belt you go, then you look at like you may be trying something on someone several belts lower than you. And you got to be okay with not, quote unquote, winning that position until you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liv, you got an answer?
I have two things.
Okay.
One is just training more. Like that, I think.
Like you mean consistency?
Yeah.
Or volume?
Volume.
Oh, okay.
So, consistent volume. So, like, usually I would do like 2 days a week, but I notice whenever I increase it to 3 or 4 days a week, just for the fact that you're going in and training more, you're getting more practice time. So that's always helped me have jumps and improvement in my game.
Yeah.
I have more opportunities to use my skills.
Yeah.
But then the other thing would be probably kind of like what Chris was saying, like kind of situational drilling, meaning like, for example, we were working on my dealing with like turtle with someone else turtles, like what to do, how to control the position.
Yeah.
So, and then I had some success with that. So things like that, like drilling things that I'm not good at and need to work on.
Yeah.
So those I think are the big.
But it sounds obvious though, but it really isn't because not many people put it into practice.
So hard to do.
It's so easy to say.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I agree.
Mine is similar. I found hyper focusing on something, whatever. let's say it's not something that you're bad at.
Okay.
But it could be something that you just want to get good at.
Mm-hmm.
A certain guard, a certain submission, a sweep, a technique, whatever. Put yourself there, force it, and be boring. Like, it's going to be boring for some people because they're going to see like, oh, you're just doing triangles, huh? Or you're just doing collar sleeve guard. That's all you play for the next 2 months. Yes.
Yep.
Hyper focus, shrink jiu-jitsu down, and just put time in whatever on that thing. And then kind of piggybacks is, Olivia kind of mentioned it, is putting extracurricular time into that. So you get to the gym a little early, everyone's kind of BSing before you start doing class. Work on whatever that thing is that you're trying to get good at. Put 10 minutes in. Like Olivia, she just mentioned the turtle position.
Mm-hmm.
She did 2 legit, like 10 to 15 minute sessions of just drilling that position, of essentially when someone's turtled, just not getting bucked off very easily, right? Just maintaining a good, it's like the wrestler's position kind of thing, riding the people out and then maintaining control. Top turtle. After 2 sessions, she's hitting that position in training and already feels way more comfortable. So that's just from 2 sessions, like small, short, 10. We're talking 10 minutes here. So do that before class, after class. Put some dedicated time towards it that's outside of just the normal class curriculum. Because most likely whatever you're trying to work on isn't what the instructor is showing.
Right.
You know, like every single class, this is not a bad thing. I look at this as a good thing. Every single class, someone comes up to me and says, can you show me this? And it's not related to what we just went over in class.
Right.
Or tell me about this. Or you know, that's a good thing. Like, put that time in and be consistent with it.
Well, I've had a couple of our white belts that are, really doing well now. Almost to a person are doing that same thing. They're coming up and asking about, I'm having trouble with this. I'm having trouble with that. And that's going to help immensely because they're identifying problems or, like you said, hyper-focusing.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what I noticed too, though? I think as white belts, and maybe this is just my perception and it's not accurate, but I think as white belts, we're more likely to do drilling after, or like try to work on things like that. But as you get more advanced in your belt, you're like, I don't want to drill, I want to spar.
Yeah.
And there's less upper belts drilling things during open time for sparring.
Yeah, true.
When they could be working on something because, they don't want to miss out on the fun.
Well, totally true. And really there's 2 different issues too. Because a white belt, sometimes they won't drill on or focus on something specific because they're like, I can't do anything. They get smashed in every single area or they're losing at all times. So they're like, if I just focus on a closed guard armbar, there's so many other things that I suck at. So why put all this time into this one thing? So then they spar instead, right?
Yeah.
That's the white belt that has their struggle to justify drilling, right? At the end. And then you have the upper belts, which is, yes, everything you just said. They want to do the fun stuff and they don't put intentional time. It's something I yelled at everyone today about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said,
I don't believe you yelled at anyone.
I wasn't there, so I
legitimately,
didn't influence him.
Dustin called me out for it. He was like, good coaching.
Did you actually yell though? Or were you stern?
It was a low level yell.
Okay.
Because I had the music playing and stuff like
Okay.
that. So, but I said, do quality reps. How you practice, how you drill is how you're going to do it. So if you just lollygag through our armbar drills as our warm up, you're going to have a shit armbar.
Yep.
It's simple as that. So I don't care if you do 5 in 2 minutes. Make them sharp as can be.
It's like the Matrix, man, when you're uploading.
What do you mean?
You know the movie The Matrix when he plugged that thing in.
Kung Fu.
Well, when you're uploading a new motor skill, you're only going to upload. If you're uploading junk, you're going to retain junk as far as a motor program.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And really, you're going to break the bad habits that you're developing during crappy drilling is going to be harder than learning the dang move in the beginning.
That's right.
We were, it was funny. You're talking about breaking habits. And that's why doing the drilling and paying attention and trying to be precise is so important because, for example, a week or 2 weeks ago, I was in Bill's class and we were doing passing, and I was passing to the left, which is what I normally do. But my elbow, which you're supposed to grip the same side lapel, it kept like bending in because that's the side I would always pass on. I created a bad habit of it.
Like a knee cut and then allowing your top, if you have the lapel and you do a knee cut to your left, and then you want your right elbow to drop to the top of the hip. That's right. You don't want it to collapse to like their belly button.
Correct.
So I created a bad habit. But I
She was
started doing
allowing
it.
the elbow to collapse.
Yeah. But when I started drilling it going to the right, my elbow stayed in place.
Because you don't pass that way.
Yeah, because I had created a bad habit with that side. There was no muscle memory of that bad habit. I just thought that was funny because I'm like, it's so true though. Like, you have to kind of retrain
And there's something to be said for right-sided guard passing too, because not a lot of people do it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. That's what I passed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew there was one side that most people pass to, and like most people play guard on a certain side. I didn't realize that I play. I think Andrea told me I play.
we both play opposites.
Yeah, we play on the side that most people don't, and then I pass to the side that most people don't.
Right.
It's kind of funny.
I pass to the left, but I play guard more so.
Yeah.
The right. Well, someone passing to the right.
Yeah. You had mentioned something actually earlier, which kind of stoked a question I had about having like trouble with even like lower belts, when you're practicing something. So why do you think sometimes lower belts, so we're black belts, so that could be, let's call it purple to white.
Okay.
But if you're a purple belt, then even, blue and white, right? Or even purple, let's say. But why do sometimes those roles feel harder than going with black belts?
So I think that goes back into a little ego thing too. I think if you're not aware of it, first of all, there's some really awesome lower belt.
Sure.
Yeah, especially in our gym, we have some super tough folks. Purple and blue, especially, I think there's probably a little more pressure on you as the upper belt, like maybe subconsciously, like, oh man, if I get in a bad position here, it's not going to look good.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas a black belt, I think if you're going against another black belt, this is just one reason.
Sure.
I think you're more relaxed in that, and if you get caught in something, you're not as. I don't think there's as much tension involved.
It could be more technical with a black belt, but maybe there's like a mutual like understanding. It's not going to be a slobber knocker match, so it's technical, it's advanced,
Slobber knocker.
but it's not this. It's not a fight.
Well, there's that too. Coming up especially if you're going against an athletic kind of, someone that's really good scrambly, former wrestler or something like that, as a lower belt, that's a handful, and it can be physically more taxing.
Yeah,
it's not intellectually as far as playing that chess game as much, but it certainly can be a lot more physically, at least for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think about like when Andrew and I go a lot. It's interesting. Like there's tension throughout the whole round.
Yeah.
As in gripping tension, weight distribution and stuff like that. But we find ourselves in these like strategic gripping battles.
Yeah.
With every limb too. Our feet, our hands, everything is gripped up. We're posting with our head, and we'll be in these like odd kind of hard to describe positions.
I've been there.
And they go back and forth. And now sometimes, typically in the last like minute or something, because we're both keeping track of score. So we know like, okay, he's ahead by an advantage or by 3 points or whatever. And then it turns into like a mad dash. But most of the round is like this but there's tension the whole time.
So when you mean hard, I think you're meaning just physically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to that.
Maybe the lower belts, they want to scalp us.
For sure.
So they're like, I'm going to attack this.
And then you're having to say, nope, I'm not going to let that happen. And then so then it turns up that. And so basically you're doing like a 6-minute round of fending off.
Yeah. Because you can either get the lower belts that give you too much respect and like they'll not go. They won't like capitalize. Like maybe you're kind of giving them a grip and you can tell like they're not committing probably because there was like, is he going to trap me with something, which sometimes is true, but sometimes not. So you have that side and then you have the other side, which is like, I'm going to break this man off right now. And then they try killing you.
I think there's some of that too, for sure. Usually my roles with black belts, it's a lot less, I shouldn't say dynamic, it's a lot less movement involved in explosive type movement. There's position shifts. There's little changes here in like, if I'm rolling, especially some of our black belts, I know if my position, my weight distribution is a little off, I'm going to get swept, right? So I'm like creeping around, where I could do some guard passing on a lower belt and be a little more sloppy with where my weight is, and it's not as important.
Sure,
but so it's like it's that kind of it's really a game of inches then. In my opinion.
Does it ever put you in a funk?
What? Having
like a hard round with a lower belt?
You're
never like, gosh, I suck.
No. I mean, I've had, recently I had a real tough situationals with a group of 5 white belts. Who are all great guys and just really good. But it was very taxing. I don't feel like I just like, man, I'm wiped out. Right. It's going to happen, man. I mean, like, I'm going in today with the mindset of just getting some good training in and not really pushing it to, trying to active recovery a little bit. So I'm going to approach it a little differently.
Yeah. It is very beneficial not to worry about who's winning the round. Like, I don't mean that in like a points perspective, but like if you're always trying to win every sparring round, it's like, and I think I've heard this somewhere, but it's like worry about skill acquisition.
Well, and also being happy for your training partner, because I know I have one of my friends is a blue belt that I've been working with since he was a white belt. And he almost caught me in one of my things that I always showed. I was like super proud of him because I mean, legit, like.
Yep. I literally just had that, a blue belt that I taught he goes to the day class. I taught this exact cross collar setup from butterfly half. I didn't respect it.
Gotcha.
Got me gurgling. And I didn't want to tap too. I thought about not tapping. And then like I kind of like,
then you're like, you're going to go out.
The like defense to a cross collar, how you can like snake your arm in there and then like block the one artery. I started pushing like his face away. And then I start trying to do that, and then he cinched it up even tighter.
Nice.
Because I didn't respect it. I didn't do the correct defense fast enough. And I did the gulp.
Yes,
and then my Adam's apple is stuck in my chest or wherever it is.
You got to tap.
I was done.
Yeah. Well, I actually appreciate it because then it just shows the level of our academy.
I was stoked. I told everyone around because no one saw it.
Yeah.
No, I saw it.
Oh, she saw it.
Yeah.
And then I looked at.
No, congratulated him. Really good job.
I was like, good job. I told him I didn't want him to think that I gave it to him. I wanted him to know, like, you got that.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. And plus, now we have such good video camera coverage that we could kind of go and find it.
He was like, hey, can we get that video from Andrew? I was like, yeah, I'll text him. didn't text him.
That's funny though.
And it's like a week ago, so now it's gone.
Okay. No, that's good though. That's a good topic to cover.
How do you deal with funk? Like when you're being in a funk, a training funk?
Usually for me, it means I'm overtrained.
Mm-hmm. Under recovered, you mean?
Under recovered. That's very good. Yeah.
Big brain on Bill.
It's true though. That's one of the symptoms.
Mentally just being in like
a funk and kind of like, ugh, you know.
How do you deal with it?
I try to do something else and focus on some recovery. Focus my mind elsewhere for a bit.
Okay.
Like I play guitar like usually about an hour a day.
Yeah.
And I'll get into some kind of,
Don't watch a instructional
no,
you might
at
normally do.
Or something, I'll give something ridiculous like Letterkenny or Trailer Park Boys or something like
that. Sure. Just something totally disconnected.
Completely disconnected. Kind of step back from everything and say, hey, look, I probably need an extra day off or something. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you and me are quite similar. Where I might train more, but we're both obsessed.
Oh, for sure.
As in we take jiu-jitsu in daily, whether it's in the training room or both.
Well, I have dedicated study time 2 times a week. Yeah. That I just do an hour or two of study time for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, every time we come in here, you're watching something.
Well, today is my in the afternoon on Mondays is one of the times I do. I'll do an hour or two.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like even people that appear like they probably never experience it. Like I experience it too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's just a sign. I'm like, okay, I need to back off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's good for the brain too. It's nice to have another thing to kind of focus on, to kind of get into that, that alpha state, that kind of, where we're mindful of something else.
Well, and if you ever take a break, Olivia just had this, where you take even a small break.
Yeah.
And you come back and like you're sharper,
you're fresher, you're more enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So know when to do that. I'll have some planned. Gosh, I have a hard time taking more than a week off. Honestly.
I don't think I've done more than. I don't think I've done a week in like ever. Yeah. Honestly.
I think.
Oh, I had
maybe not a full week, but
I had a medical thing.
Maybe like 5. Like usually if you have something going on, either usually you're sick.
I had that one medical thing.
Yeah.
Last year that caused me to be grounded. I think for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that sucks. But I mean, sometimes if you're feeling like you're in a funk, or especially if you're starting to have negative feelings about your jiu-jitsu, it might be time to take a couple days and focus on something else to kind of let the brain kind of process some stuff. And it's a sign of, because overtraining under recovery, remember the whole stress cup model, it's not just jiu-jitsu. There may be other shit going on too. And
see, I need to take that advice because I don't. I just train through it. I just tell myself not today. I'll take a break tomorrow.
Man, it's hard. It's hard to because
to find the balance.
Last week was a perfect example where we did the podcast on Monday, and I'm like, I had every intention of going in, and just that hour or two after we did the podcast, I was like, man, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And so I just called an audible and just took the day off.
That's right.
And then I came in and did 3 in a row.
That's
Thursday,
actually
Friday,
usually
Saturday.
what happens. Olivia will notice, like, maybe I don't train on a Friday night, or something like that. And then I don't train on a Sunday, so I do Saturday morning, and I usually train Friday night and Saturday at midday or morning, or Sunday as well. And that's my big stretch, right? Is Wednesday to Sunday. I train every day, and there's 2-a-days in there. Mm-hmm. But if I take out Friday and Saturday, now I got a couple day breaks. But she'll notice that if I do that, the next 2 weeks I'm doing 2-a-days, like freaking 3 days a week.
He's trying to like make up for the lost time.
And so you're right on the edge now, still being able to do that.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like an excuse, but in a couple more years,
I don't even think that long because I feel like I'm already.
You're still feeling it a little
as
bit?
I'm getting, literally this year. We're only
40 this year.
4 or 5 months in. there's certain things in my body that I'm starting to feel like.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I decided I'm not going to do Master Worlds this year. And
we should
Nikita.
We should table that conversation
because he didn't know, and he's probably just finding out listening.
What hilarious! Well, I don't really care about his feelings. But we should table that. I want to talk some more about that again.
Okay.
About kind of these decisions, and because I think a lot of us struggle with it. Because most of us that are listening, I'm sure that are listening to this are almost all kind of the quote unquote hobbyist.
Yeah.
That has other stuff going on in their life,
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good to revisit kind of.
For sure.
I'd like to talk about your decision process too.
Yeah, it's been difficult.
I can only imagine. Right. Because I know how I am. So let's table that one.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
It's difficult for him to decide not to train
one
day.
So
I can't imagine.
That's what I'm saying. So I want to.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to, at our next podcast, I want to continue this so we can talk about that.
With that, I was actually on another podcast, not the Greg Anderson one, but I was on a podcast called The Compassionate Viking with a guy named Tyler. He looks like a Viking. He's built like a brick shit house. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting. It was 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So it was a deep one.
Your agent must be better than mine because I'm getting like 0 of these.
Well, it's because I'm your agent.
Oh, that's why. You're like, you don't want this old piece of shit. Yeah. I'll do it.
Can we get Dr. Hardy on? And I'm like, yes, send me the time. And then I show up.
Yeah. That's what's going on. Okay, fair enough. No, that's cool though. I'm just joking, of course.
We talked, it was more jiu-jitsu related than the other one that I was on. We did jump into some conspiracy theories.
Nice.
Just a touch.
Gotta like it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was pretty good because he had some, interesting questions and, cool. But like I said, it was 3 hours long. I think he's going to split it up, but it comes out on Wednesday.
Nice.
But it was another thing where we talked a lot about you and Carrie. And I don't know, for some reason he was like, it would be awesome to talk to you guys. And I was like, well, I'm his agent, so good luck.
So it's never going to happen. Bill's going to be like, I don't want that guy. We're going to keep him back. He's a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
No, I'd be happy to come on anything because,
if anybody else, if you guys want to have Chris on or something.
Because a lot of the stuff I'm doing, the reason why I'm doing this, first of all, I love jiu-jitsu, but our podcast is a little different, as everyone knows. I really think there's a strong public health message with nutrition, exercise, and a lot of just health in general that is done so poorly in mainstream medicine that
it's why we actually, because I had my own just jiu-jitsu one, and you were like, you know what, I need a megaphone. Yeah. Because your industry it has issues.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And this is a way to talk about them.
It is, and it helps me. It's therapeutic for me, because I'm able to, because I feel like you're shouting into the maelstrom.
Yeah,
no one's and it's nice because there's people out there that do want good information. So that's why I would be happy to do that,
and why we do long form too. Yeah, so we can talk through stuff. I can ask dumb questions
and talk shit.
Yeah. So. Like, subscribe, comment. If you got questions, hit us up on YouTube, Instagram, grapplingwithpodcast@gmail.com. Other than that, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Later.
Thanks, y'all.